Have you ever sensed that something was off about someone, as if an invisible weight pressed down on the air around them, subtly sapping the energy from the room? There is a peculiar kind of presence that defies easy explanation, a feeling of unease that makes it seem like an unspoken darkness lingers just beneath the surface. It is as though this person carries with them a hidden storm, a kind of malevolence that is not marked by the usual trappings of overt hostility, but rather by an insidious calm that masks their true intentions. Often, you might notice that evil does not always announce itself with snarls or grotesque features. It rarely arrives wearing a villain's mask. Instead, it cloaks itself in charm and a friendly smile, appearing helpful and well-meaning at first glance. Yet, beneath that agreeable facade lies a different nature entirely, a nature dedicated to manipulation, deception, and control. These individuals do not need a clear motive or a dramatic reason to inflict harm. Rather, their actions are driven by an inherent disposition. They subtly erode your confidence, chip away at your peace of mind, and gradually distort your very perception of reality, leaving you feeling adrift and uncertain about what is true and what is merely a twisted version of the truth. In our daily interactions, there are moments when the sense of discomfort is not just a fleeting emotion but a persistent warning signal. The ancient wisdom of Stoicism teaches us that while many external events lie beyond our control, our internal state remains ours to govern. One of the most essential skills we can cultivate is the ability to discern, early on, those who might bring harm into our lives. Recognizing the hidden warning signs, those subtle red flags, is not merely a matter of self-preservation. It is a crucial step toward maintaining the integrity of our inner world. It is through careful observation and thoughtful reflection that we can begin to see the patterns of behavior that betray a person's true character. When you notice that the harmony around you seems to be deliberately disrupted, that a once comforting presence now leaves you questioning your every thought, you may be witnessing the early stages of a much deeper and more damaging process. There is an unsettling clarity in the way that those who harbor malevolent intentions operate. Their tactics are as much about the slow erosion of your self-assurance as they are about the overt display of power. At first, their actions may seem almost innocuous, a minor exaggeration here, a subtle distortion there. However, over time, these small, seemingly insignificant deviations from the truth accumulate into a pattern that is hard to ignore. You might find yourself recalling conversations with increasing doubt, wondering if perhaps your memory has betrayed you. In one instance, you may have been told something with absolute certainty, only to have that very statement later denied with equal fervor when you raised a question. When you muster the courage to challenge these inconsistencies, they may respond not with explanation but with indignation, accusing you of misremembering, of being overly sensitive, or even of fabricating details. Slowly, this relentless barrage of doubt begins to chip away at your ability to trust your own perceptions. The process is deliberate and methodical. By making you question the veracity of your memories and emotions, they establish a foundation of control from which it becomes easier to dominate every facet of your inner life. Consider the profound impact of this slow, creeping uncertainty. Every conversation turns into a minefield of potential misinterpretations, and every disagreement is weaponized against you. In the early stages, you might dismiss these occurrences as minor quirks in an otherwise benign interaction. However, as the pattern repeats itself over weeks or even months, you begin to see that the truth has been subtly reshaped to serve someone else's agenda. This is not simply a matter of occasional dishonesty. It is an orchestrated campaign designed to leave you vulnerable, unsure, and ultimately dependent on them for a sense of reality. Their lies are not just about evading responsibility, they are about seizing power. By manipulating the truth, they gain an advantage, testing boundaries and pushing the limits of what they can get away with. They fabricate stories with such ease and manipulate facts so deftly that the original reality becomes obscured, replaced by a version that serves their interests. And perhaps the most chilling part of all is that they do not seem to feel any guilt for these actions. Instead, they maintain an eerie composure, as if the very act of deception is as natural to them as breathing. In many ways, this relentless manipulation mirrors a game, a mental battlefield where every word and every gesture is a calculated move aimed at weakening your resolve. Each encounter leaves you more drained, more uncertain about who you can trust. It is as though every conversation is an elaborate trap, set with the intention of gradually undermining your self-worth. If you ever catch yourself constantly questioning your own perceptions, feeling as if nothing is ever quite right in the presence of someone, it might be time to pause and reflect on the dynamics at play. The longer you allow this toxic influence to persist, the more control they accumulate over your thoughts, emotions, and even your very sense of reality. Recognizing these patterns is not a sign of weakness. Rather, it is a necessary act of self-respect, a clear reminder that you have the right to protect your inner world against those who would exploit it. There is also a distinct tendency among such individuals to thrive on conflict. While most people naturally seek to avoid unnecessary strife and would rather nurture a sense of calm, these manipulators seem to be magnetically drawn to discord. They revel in the chaos that ensues, as if every argument and every heated exchange serves as a personal victory. It is almost as if they carry a deep-seated need to disrupt the harmony around them, to feed off the tension and anxiety that such disturbances create. In social gatherings or family events, you may notice a sudden, inexplicable shift in the atmosphere. A shift that coincides with the presence of that one person whose eyes seem to glimmer with a hint of mischief whenever conflict erupts. They orchestrate these moments with a precision that borders on the theatrical, planting seeds of doubt and stirring up old resentments without any apparent need for justification. Their actions are deliberate, each remark and each insinuation carefully crafted to ignite discord among those who might otherwise be at peace. The impact of such behavior can be profound and far-reaching. Imagine a scenario where a joyous reunion, filled with laughter and shared memories, is suddenly marred by an offhand comment that sows the seeds of mistrust between long-standing friends or relatives. In an instant, the atmosphere transforms from one of warmth and camaraderie to one of cold suspicion and underlying hostility. The individual responsible for this shift rarely takes responsibility for the fallout. Instead, they bask in the turmoil, their satisfaction barely concealed behind a veneer of concern or even innocence. It is a manipulation of human connection, a deliberate act of sabotage aimed at fracturing the bonds that hold relationships together. In doing so, they not only create a cycle of conflict but also ensure that the people around them remain too busy managing the fallout to ever challenge their authority. This constant state of tension leaves little room for genuine connection or mutual respect, gradually isolating you from the very relationships that could offer solace and strength. The consequences of living in such an environment extend far beyond temporary discomfort. Over time, the emotional toll of navigating constant strife and uncertainty can be devastating. It chips away at your resilience, leaving you more susceptible to the manipulator's influence. As you become increasingly enmeshed in a web of conflict and mistrust, your ability to discern genuine empathy from calculated indifference begins to wane. The more you allow yourself to be drawn into their drama, the more you risk losing sight of your own values and boundaries. And yet, even as you recognize these harmful dynamics, the pull of familiarity or the fear of confrontation can make it difficult to extricate yourself from their orbit. One of the most insidious tactics in this arsenal of manipulation is the way these individuals make you feel as though you are always at fault. There is a particular kind of psychological warfare that targets your self-esteem with ruthless precision: gaslighting. This form of manipulation is subtle at first, often manifesting in moments when your concerns or frustrations are dismissed with a casual remark, as if you are simply overreacting. You may recall an event vividly, only to have it reframed entirely by the other person, who insists that you must have misinterpreted what happened. Over time, these repeated distortions of reality erode your confidence until you begin to doubt your own experiences. The more you question your recollections and emotions, the more control they gain over you. It is a slow, methodical process where every instance of self-doubt is another step toward making you reliant on their version of the truth. This manipulation is not born out of a desire for mere control over a conversation. It is a calculated effort to destabilize your sense of self. When you find yourself defending your own perceptions instead of engaging in a constructive dialogue, it is a sign that the balance of power has shifted. A truly caring individual would listen to your perspective and validate your feelings, even if they do not entirely agree with you. In contrast, the manipulator's aim is to leave you isolated, trapped in a perpetual state of uncertainty where you are compelled to seek validation from someone who has no interest in fostering your independence. In such a dynamic, your ability to trust your own judgment becomes compromised, and what once was a clear sense of right and wrong becomes obscured by a fog of confusion and self-doubt. Beyond gaslighting, there is another common pattern of behavior that these individuals often exhibit: a relentless need to cast themselves as the perpetual victim. Life is replete with challenges, and even the strongest among us will occasionally falter under the weight of hardship. However, there is a stark difference between acknowledging life's difficulties and using them as a shield to deflect accountability. Some people wear their victimhood like an impenetrable armor, using it as a convenient excuse for every shortcoming or mistake. In doing so, they absolve themselves of responsibility and simultaneously manipulate the sympathy of those around them. Their narrative is always one of struggle and suffering, a never-ending litany of woes that they expect others to absorb without question. When things go wrong, they refuse to look inward, instead placing the blame squarely on the shoulders of everyone else, the world, their past, or even those who have offered them help. This constant deflection is not merely a display of self-pity. It is a calculated tactic designed to keep you emotionally entangled, ensuring that you remain invested in their drama out of a misguided sense of compassion. This perpetual victim role can be particularly draining for anyone who interacts with them. In moments when you attempt to set a boundary or encourage personal growth, they twist your words to imply that you are somehow responsible for their ongoing misery. Instead of acknowledging their role in perpetuating their own problems, they invert the situation, making you feel as though you are the aggressor or the one failing in your duty of care. It is an exhausting cycle that gradually wears down even the most resilient spirit. Over time, you may find yourself questioning your own judgment, wondering if you are indeed being too harsh or insensitive simply because you refuse to accept their narrative without scrutiny. Yet, the truth remains that no one is obligated to sacrifice their own well-being for someone who persistently refuses to take responsibility for their actions. Alongside the manipulation of truth and the casting of blame, another particularly corrosive behavior that these individuals display is the habit of constant criticism. Unlike constructive feedback, which is intended to help you grow and improve, this criticism is delivered in a relentless, demeaning fashion that seeks to undermine your achievements at every turn. No matter how hard you work or how much progress you make, their remarks are always laced with a subtle yet piercing negativity that forces you to focus on your shortcomings rather than your successes. They are adept at highlighting even the smallest imperfections, dismissing your victories as insignificant or easily attainable. When you finally achieve something you have poured your heart and soul into, instead of receiving a genuine acknowledgement of your hard work, you are met with a dismissive comment, one that suggests that your success is never enough, that there is always something lacking. This constant barrage of negative feedback serves a singular purpose: to weaken your self-esteem and make you increasingly reliant on their approval for validation. The cumulative effect of such sustained criticism is devastating. Over time, it chips away at your confidence, leaving you feeling unworthy and perpetually dissatisfied with your own efforts. It is a subtle form of psychological abuse, one that leaves no physical scars but whose emotional impact can be profound and lasting. The person on the receiving end of this relentless negativity may eventually begin to internalize these harsh judgments, leading to a distorted self-image that is far removed from reality. Instead of recognizing their own strengths and accomplishments, they start to see only the flaws that the critic has so meticulously pointed out. This is not merely an attack on one's ego, it is an assault on the very foundation of one's self-worth, a strategy designed to keep you subdued and malleable under the influence of another. Even more insidious is the way these individuals not only tear you down but simultaneously inflate their own sense of superiority. Their criticisms are rarely, if ever, balanced by any genuine acknowledgement of the contributions or achievements of others. They boast incessantly about their own skills, successes, and superiority, positioning themselves as the epitome of competence and virtue while casting you in a perpetual shadow of inadequacy. In doing so, they create a distorted hierarchy where your value is measured solely by their arbitrary standards. This dynamic is particularly dangerous because it not only undermines your confidence but also isolates you from the support and affirmation you might otherwise receive from those who truly care about you. Over time, you may find yourself internalizing their skewed perspective, gradually accepting that your efforts are inherently inferior, a notion that is as corrosive to your spirit as it is to your sense of identity. Yet, amidst all of these tactics, manipulation of truth, the cultivation of conflict, gaslighting, the perpetual casting of blame, and the constant undermining of your achievements, one aspect stands out as perhaps the most telling indicator of a person's moral void: their complete lack of empathy. Empathy, the ability to connect with and understand the emotions of others, is what binds us together as human beings. It is the quality that allows us to offer support in times of need and to celebrate the joys and sorrows of those around us. When someone is utterly devoid of this capacity, it becomes immediately apparent that they see others not as fellow human beings but as mere tools to be used and discarded at their convenience. In times of personal crisis, moments when you are grieving, when you are facing a profound loss or a crushing disappointment, an empathetic person will reach out, offering comfort and understanding. But a person lacking in empathy will remain impassive, their reaction cold and detached, as if your pain is nothing more than an inconvenience. This emotional void is not always obvious at first. It may be masked by a superficial charm or a well-rehearsed display of concern. However, when you are in the throes of genuine distress, their inability to offer real comfort becomes painfully clear. Instead of acknowledging your suffering, they may even twist the situation, making it about themselves rather than allowing you the space to grieve or heal. The effect is profoundly isolating, leaving you feeling invisible and alone in your own anguish. In these moments, the absence of compassion is more than just a minor flaw. It is a glaring red flag that speaks to the core of their character. For someone who cannot share in your sorrow or celebrate your joy, there is little reason to expect that they would ever act in your best interests. The cumulative impact of these behaviors is not merely an inconvenience or a source of momentary discomfort, it is a fundamental assault on your very being. When you find that your interactions leave you feeling diminished, that your self-esteem is continually eroded by the weight of another's insidious influence, it becomes imperative to reassert your boundaries and reclaim your inner strength. The ancient wisdom of Stoic philosophy reminds us that while we cannot control the actions of others, we are always free to choose how we respond. It is within our power to protect our minds and our spirits, to filter out the toxic energies that would otherwise corrupt our sense of self. This is not an easy task. It requires vigilance, courage, and a steadfast commitment to your own well-being. Yet, it is a necessary one if you are to preserve the clarity of your thoughts and the purity of your inner world. When you begin to notice these patterns, when you see that a person consistently distorts the truth, thrives on conflict, makes you doubt your own reality, plays the perpetual victim, criticizes without offering support, and exhibits a shocking lack of empathy, it is crucial to listen to that inner voice. The instinct that tells you something is not right should not be ignored or dismissed as mere paranoia. Instead, it should serve as a signal to examine the relationship more closely, to assess whether the cost of maintaining this connection is worth the emotional toll it extracts from you. It is a reminder that your energy, your peace of mind, and your sense of self are far too valuable to be squandered on someone whose primary objective is to undermine your very being. In the end, the path to reclaiming your strength and safeguarding your inner peace lies in the difficult but necessary act of disengagement. It means recognizing that you do not owe your loyalty or your emotional labor to those who drain you, regardless of any facade of charm or false benevolence they may project. It means trusting in your own judgment and in the clarity of your perception, even when those around you seem determined to cloud your vision with doubt and confusion. The journey toward self-preservation is not always straightforward or without pain. It may involve moments of isolation, discomfort, and even regret. Yet, the ultimate reward is the restoration of your autonomy and the reaffirmation of your self-worth, a reclamation of the inner sanctum that no external force can ever truly penetrate. As you navigate these treacherous waters, remember that every moment of doubt, every instance of confusion, is not a reflection of your inadequacy but rather a testament to the manipulative tactics of someone who wishes to control you. Their constant barrage of criticism, their insatiable need for conflict, and their deliberate attempts to undermine your confidence are all designed to keep you tethered to a narrative that serves their purposes. But you have the power to break free from this cycle. You can choose to surround yourself with those who genuinely value your strengths, who encourage your growth, and who understand that true power lies not in domination over others but in the cultivation of inner resilience and wisdom. In the quiet moments of reflection, when the cacophony of manipulation and deceit fades into a distant echo, you may come to realize that the most profound strength lies in acknowledging your own worth. It is in these moments that the teachings of Stoicism shine through, offering solace and guidance. The wisdom that has been passed down through the ages reminds us that our inner world is sacred, that our peace is a fortress built on the foundation of self-respect and clarity. No matter how insidious the tactics of another may be, your ability to stand firm in the truth of your own experience remains an unassailable bulwark against their attempts at control. There may be times when the realization of this toxic influence comes too late, when the damage inflicted by years of subtle manipulation has left deep scars. Yet even in the aftermath of such betrayal, there is hope. The process of healing involves reclaiming the narratives that have been distorted and re-establishing trust in your own perceptions. It is a gradual journey, one that requires patience, self-compassion, and an unwavering commitment to rediscovering the strength that lies within. With each step, as you shed the weight of another's manipulation, you draw closer to a state of genuine clarity, a state in which you recognize that your worth is inherent and unassailable. Ultimately, the decision to walk away from those who seek to undermine your very essence is a powerful act of self-love. It is an affirmation that your energy, your time, and your emotional well-being are too precious to be expended on relationships that offer only toxicity and doubt. It is a declaration that you will no longer allow the subtle forces of manipulation to erode the integrity of your inner life. And while the journey may be fraught with challenges, every moment spent reclaiming your power is a victory, a step toward a life defined not by the shadows of others, but by the radiant light of your own unyielding strength. There is a profound liberation in finally understanding that you do not have to shoulder the burden of someone else's distorted reality. You are not responsible for the chaos they create, nor are you obligated to maintain a connection that leaves you feeling diminished and lost. Instead, you can choose to invest your energy in relationships that honor your truth, that celebrate your successes, and that support you in times of need. By doing so, you begin to build a life that is rooted in authenticity and resilience, a life where your inner voice rings clear and true, unimpeded by the discordant noise of those who would seek to silence it. In reflecting upon these truths, it becomes evident that the journey towards self-empowerment is as much about cultivating an awareness of others as it is about nurturing an unwavering belief in oneself. Each instance of manipulation, each attempt to sow discord, is a reminder of the fragile balance that exists between trust and vulnerability. And while the scars left by such encounters may take time to heal, they also serve as valuable lessons that teach you to cherish your inner light and to guard it fiercely against the encroaching darkness of deceit. There is a beauty in the realization that, ultimately, you have the power to choose which voices you allow into your inner sanctum. The cacophony of external judgments and manipulative tactics may be overwhelming at times, but within you lies an indomitable strength, a quiet resolve that can withstand the onslaught of even the most calculated deceptions. In trusting your instincts and honoring the clarity of your own perceptions, You affirm your right to live a life unburdened by the toxicity of those who would otherwise seek to control you. The path ahead may be challenging, marked by moments of uncertainty and the lingering echoes of past betrayals. Yet, every step you take in reclaiming your power is a testament to your resilience, a bold declaration that your worth is not defined by the distortions imposed upon you by others. With each day that passes, as you fortify the boundaries of your inner world and seek out relationships built on genuine care and respect, you move closer to a state of true freedom, one where the clarity of your mind and the strength of your spirit shine brightly, unimpeded by the shadows of manipulation. In the quiet aftermath of these realizations, you may find yourself reflecting on the transformative journey that has brought you to this point. What began as a subtle feeling of unease has evolved into a profound understanding of the dynamics that govern toxic relationships. And while the lessons learned may have come at a steep price, they are invaluable in their ability to guide you toward a future defined by authenticity, resilience, and unwavering self-worth. It is a future where you stand as the guardian of your own truth, a sentinel who refuses to allow the subtle machinations of another to dictate the terms of your reality. There is no simple remedy for the wounds inflicted by persistent manipulation and emotional abuse. The process of healing is complex and ongoing, requiring a careful rebalancing of the scales between vulnerability and strength. Yet, in the midst of this arduous journey, the wisdom of ancient philosophies and the clarity of your own introspection converge to form a powerful alliance, a reminder that you are the master of your own fate. By acknowledging the red flags, by daring to confront the insidious behaviors that have sought to erode your sense of self, you reclaim not only your power but also the promise of a life lived in accordance with your deepest values. Ultimately, the most profound victory lies in the realization that you deserve relationships grounded in respect, empathy, and genuine care, a recognition that your energy is far too precious to be squandered on those who would drain it away with their ceaseless manipulations. In choosing to honor your own truth, in setting firm boundaries and walking away from the toxic influences that have shadowed your path, you take the first decisive step toward a life that is truly your own. A life marked not by the echoes of others' deceit but by the resounding affirmation of your own inner strength. Embrace the journey of self-discovery with courage and resolve, knowing that every moment spent nurturing your spirit, every instance in which you assert your right to live free from manipulation, brings you closer to the life you deserve. For in the quiet assurance of your own worth lies the power to dispel the lingering darkness of deceit and to step boldly into the light of your own unassailable truth. Trust your instincts, honor your inner voice, and remember that your peace, your joy, and your resilience are the most precious gifts you can offer to yourself.